with Laura Crabtree, CEO of Epsilon 3. Laura spent more than a decade at SpaceX, supported milestone missions, the first Dragon launch, the company's first crewed mission to the International Space Station. I think you left prior to Starship really kicking off, but you understand why this matters. So let's start with the V3. Why does it matter?
It matters because people have been waiting, as Lauren just alluded to. Everyone's been waiting for this next iteration, for it to be operational, to be able to book a launch on Starship. And I think it will enable the next iteration of what we want to see as the space industry continues to grow and access to space continues to be easier, more affordable, et cetera. And we can take larger payloads. We can take more people to the moon. We can take lunar rovers more quickly. And I think everyone's been waiting for that for a long time now.
Laura, you'll understand, so SpaceX's S1 went public, and a main focus of it was that larger future payload you're talking about being orbital data center. But the core mission, the kind of founding mission of SpaceX is to make humankind a multiplanetary species, right? We haven't on the show talked as much about that human payload. Sorry if that's probably not the kindest way of putting it, but the human payload element of it. How would that work in Starship? You know, the idea is that, you know, if you're going to go the distance of Mars, but even in the near term, the moon, it is Starship that is the best technology platform to get us there. Is that the idea?
That is the idea. And, you know, Elon has talked many times at company all hands, and I'm sure, you know, also out in the public about the future goal of making humans multiplanetary species. So the ultimate goal of something like Starship is to make life interplanetary, to enable that future we want to see. We, as he said, you know, we don't want to be like the dinosaurs, and we don't want to go extinct on this planet. And so there are a lot of pieces that SpaceX needs to achieve to get there, because the mission for SpaceX to be multiplanetary, but you have to have the building blocks of data centers, you have to have Starlink, you have to have all of the things that we've built up to this point, and this is just the next piece of the puzzle.
You were the senior mission operations engineer. You basically trained the crew, and you oversaw and ran the Dragon spacecraft mission. So for the Bloomberg Tech audience, SpaceX getting humans to the International Space Station or into space so far has been Falcon 9 with a Dragon capsule on top. I'm now showing Starship V3 pictures right now, Laura. The bit that I think people are finding it hard to understand is within the design of the Starship spacecraft, different to putting a capsule on Falcon 9, how would that work? Like, literally, where do the astronauts go?
So there have been lots of design iterations, and I'm not entirely sure where the design iteration is right now. But from the last I saw, the Starship would then take all the humans to the moon, and there would be the incomplete payload would be human. So, you know, it would be geared towards humans. So there would be toilets, there would be the pods for people to live in while they're being transported to the moon. So that is more the idea, I believe. And so that's something that we still have yet to see until Starship is operational and many flights have taken place. I don't think we will know exactly the designs, and I believe SpaceX is probably waiting to unveil that in future versions.
Can you try and take us inside SpaceX a little bit? You know, part of covering the almost launch of the 12th test flight yesterday is seeing this sort of gathering of SpaceX staff and engineers, everyone that worked on the re-engineering, the new architecture. When Elon Musk or the other leaders go to the team and say, let's rip up the script, the blueprint, and start again, what's that process like to get it onto the pad?
Yeah, it's a challenge. In the industry, there's something called a challenge coin. So you get a challenge coin if you're going to work really hard on something. But it feels like there's a challenge coin on the line all the time. So you're given a somewhat insurmountable problem, and you have to go and solve it. And I think the difference that most people are now noting is that within SpaceX and many startups that you see in the industry today, you're given more responsibility to make decisions than you would have in a traditional large aerospace company. And so you're given a problem, you go and solve the problem to the best of your ability, and then you come together, test the problem, iterate. That's why you're seeing so quick iteration from Starship, because the engineers are being pushed to continue to think outside of the box. You can't design something like Starship with the things that have been done in the past.
Present day, Laura, you're the CEO of Epsilon 3, a software platform that if you are trying to pull off a high stakes operational testing manufacturing procedure, which I think Starship kind of is right now, that's what you need. So I think you're in a good place to just tell us to end. We have 30 seconds. Just how difficult is what SpaceX is trying to do right now with this Starship program?
Yeah, I think Lauren alluded to this earlier, but there are millions of decisions that need to be made and millions of technical things that need to go right. So having one small thing like a pin and maybe a couple of out of family temperatures is actually miraculous. You can expect scrubs, you can expect some failure, but when you get to the end, you should have tested enough small things. And that's really what we, at Epsilon 3 want, is to have the infrastructure built to test enough small things that when you get to the mission, you get to the final launch, that you have done enough, that you have the most confidence that your mission will go well. And I think that's what SpaceX is doing.